Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Hayk. And today, my guest is a digital art OG from Lebanon. Ginger, tell me who you are and what you do.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me, Hayk. My name is Gingerpotter. I'm known as Gingerpotter. My artist name, my actual name is Raz, and I'm an artist from Lebanon. I'm a illustrator, painter, and animator. I've been seriously creating my art for the past 8 years, posting a new artwork every week on my Instagram, and I've entered the NFT space over the last 4 years. I've had my work displayed all over the world, all over social media, got a lot of engagement through my work, a recognizable character that a lot of people might might see on a regular basis on social media. And yeah, just basically describing the world today, how it is through my work, and showing the clash between the digital and the physical, and how people are going through that clash of our modern day.
That's a very interesting topic you have. How did it all start?
So it's a funny story. How did I start drawing, or how did I start taking my art seriously?
You can tell us both.
Well, the how my mom discovered that I knew how to draw, it's a story I've told many times that she remembers and I don't. One time I drew like a big Mickey Mouse on a huge cardboard, and I showed it to my mom, and she asked me if I traced it off of something. But she was confused because she doesn't remember her buying any big Mickey Mouse poster for me to trace. And me being a kid, not really understanding what tracing meant, I was like, yeah, I traced it. So she told me if I can bring her the poster I traced it off of. And basically what I did, I brought her like a tiny image like that. And that's when she realized, oh, I know how to draw. I don't know how to talk yet. I don't know words yet, but I know how to draw apparently. So yeah, that's basically when I started drawing. But I've taken it seriously 8 years ago when I decided to start putting my art on Instagram every week. So every Tuesday I have a new artwork. I haven't missed a single week for the past 8 years, which if you can see from my eyes, the eye bags under my eyes. But yeah, basically, I've been trying to do that as an exercise to always think of something new to express, always keep looking around me for something to draw, to create. It actually started out when someone approached me. My character, for example, it came by when someone approached me to create illustrations for a book. And basically, after creating the illustrations and like agree on the price and everything. When it was time to pay up, they didn't want to pay up. So like the deal fell through. So I had like these 10, 10 images, and they were so good. They were so nice. They were all black and white, and like they're earlier versions of the character I'm known for now. And what I did is I just decided to start posting every week one of those images. So every week it would get more traction, more people got interested in the work. And after 10 weeks, I was like, I want to keep this going. I feel like I'm expressing so much through these artworks. I have so much more to express. So I kept doing that and I kept creating these black and white illustrations. But then I started going into more colorful artworks. And eventually, since I was always inspired by Disney and the animations at Disney, I just decided to try doing animations. So completely self-taught. My first animation was a bit clunky, and ever since then, I've been experimenting in animations, and it led me to the NFT space and basically led me to here. So that's me in a nutshell, more or less.
Hmm, that's a journey.
Yeah, you should see the ups and downs in it.
I mean, you can't go on without them, right? That's where you
Sure.
learn.
Yeah, I guess that's what they say.
Talking about ups and downs, you brought me to my next question about your biggest fail, the one that you remember the most.
Biggest failure. I'm not really sure like what what I would describe as my biggest failure. I feel like something that a lot of artists struggle with is feeling that when they're not like making sales or when they're not like reaching certain goals that they're trying to reach, that they feel that is like their biggest failures. So it's not just me. I feel like a lot of artists go through that as well. So yeah, like I said, the ups and downs, I feel like a lot of times when it comes to art and when it comes to like this career I've chosen for myself, there's a lot of huge highs, but there's also a lot of low lows. So yeah, and the thing is, like, you always try different things, you try to experiment, you try to figure out where to go. And a lot of those trials will lead to a lot of failures. I wouldn't say they're monumental failures. I feel like all of my failures have been equally big. I can't really pick one. But yeah, like at the same time, there's a lot of big success that comes from that. And like you said, you learn from those failures. Like for example, when the person that came by and wanted me to do the illustrations for the book, like if it wasn't for that incident, that quote unquote failure, I probably wouldn't be here. So yeah, like you
Mhm.
never know how a failure can turn into a whole career, basically. A career of success, hopefully, not just failure. So yeah.
And from what I understand, that first client you had, it wasn't online. It was basically in Lebanon, right?
She was from Dubai and she came for a visit to Lebanon.
Why was I curious about the origin? Because I wanted to know how Lebanon impacted you and your art throughout this whole years.
Yeah, like Lebanon is a challenge. It's like I always describe it as a toxic relationship, and I imagine a lot of Lebanese describe it that way because the country is beautiful, but it's not well managed, and that's the main issue of it. So it has the potential to be something amazing. But it also feels that there are a lot of people that are still stuck in their ways here and refuse to like give a chance to a younger generation to basically innovate in the country. Like for me, my art basically wasn't something that was desirable here in the country because it was stuck in its old traditional ways of doing things. There are a lot of fantastic artists that feel like they're being pushed out of the country because no one really believes in them. And there is this culture of someone leaving the country and basically making their name outside of the country. And then people start wanting to work with them inside of the country. So yeah, it's a shame, to be honest. Like I managed to do that partially through by staying in the country through the digital means. So like for me, social media, NFTs and all of that gave me the opportunity to more or less my work be go out of the country while I'm physically still in the country. Other than that, there's also like all of the political instability and all of that that happens there. A lot of my earlier work was based on a lot of things going on in the country and all of that, which is something that I wanted to express because it was affecting me. But at the same time, I also want to express a wider narrative of the experience of being a human and not just like a Lebanese. So for me, like, I want people to relate with my work on a global scale. I want people from any country to understand what I'm trying to say because my work delves into this pivotal transition from the physical world to the digital world that I feel a lot of us are feeling right now and don't really know how to manage and navigate and are struggling to figure out. And that's what I try to do through my art is to basically describe these situations by me going through these same struggles as well. And I exhibit them through my work and all of that. So my work has transitioned from more Lebanese narratives to more human narrative of the modern age. So yeah.
I can totally relate with that idea of someone leaving the country, becoming famous and acknowledged outside, then becoming a point of interest for the country itself. And we, in Armenian language, we even have this saying that goes like, go die, return, then we will love you.
Yeah. It's also, it's not just us then. Good to know.
And you were saying that your work now is focused on the challenge of transitioning from the physical world to the digital one. And what I want to know is what's the challenge you personally face in the process of creating those pieces?
Yeah, like for me, I'm not very tech savvy. So it's funny because people like look at me and think like I'm into NFTs and I do stuff on my laptop and think like I'm well versed in technology. But like me and my laptop, I always say this, me and my laptop have a toxic relationship. I hate him, but I need him, and it's vice versa, I think. So yeah, like for me, it's been a process to like figure out all of this, but I also like to mix it up as well. I don't like to just have everything completely digital. So it's a mix. It's also that clash, if you will. Like it's not just in the story, but in the process of the artwork, because everything I do is hand drawn. I draw it on paper with pencils. So like every element of the animation is hand drawn. And then I fix it up. I scan it and I put it on my laptop. On Photoshop, I fix it up. I color it and then assemble everything on After Effects. And basically that's how the animation goes. So it is a mix of both. I feel like the element of a hand-drawn sketch is something essential for my work. It gives it that human aspect to it. And I don't like this overly polished look that a lot of digital art has. I know that a lot of digital art now, there's brushes that give that human look more and more, but I've always felt more comfortable with at least starting with a pen and paper to create something. And yeah, I don't know if I answered your question, but but yeah, that was it.
In terms of the question, I understood that the challenge for you is the toxic relationship between you and the laptop.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Not a good relationship, I would say. So my country, my lovely country, went through an economic crisis and starting late 2019 and it's still lasting till now. I was still posting online my artworks and all of that, but I didn't really was making much money out of it. I wasn't really making a living out of it. So I needed to find a job. Finding a job at the time, like I studied interior architecture, and before 2019, for example, when I did work in interior architecture, my monthly salary was $1,500 a month. And then after the economic crisis, salaries went down. Whenever I would try to like apply for a job, most salaries were like between $100 to $200. So it was basically like just insane. And like they make you work, they don't pay you overtime, for example. They make you work on Saturdays and stuff like that. So I felt at the time that I just needed to focus on my art and try to figure out a way to sell my work. And eventually I decided to do like a small exhibition in front of my house. So it's like a rustic street. I decided to print all of my artworks and exhibit my work as a last ditch effort to hopefully see if there would be any interest for people to buy my art. But actually around 300 people showed up and we sold out the whole exhibition. And that basically showed me that there is potential for that people want to buy my art. I just need to like put them in the right situation to basically want to come and buy. So I wanted people to like actually write about this exhibition. So I was asking around for some journalists to come and cover the exhibition. And one of my friends here is a Lebanese artist as well. He told me that for you to find journalists, you can go on an app called Clubhouse. You can find journalists there. And at the time, I had already tried to create NFTs because I saw the buzz about Bored Apes and all of that, not really understanding what it was. So I tried doing something, but it didn't really work out. And I thought it was just another failure. And I just brushed it off. I didn't find journalists on Clubhouse, but what I did find was rooms that were talking about NFTs, and that's where I started. Yeah, it's so weird how things line up that way, and that's where I started going into those clubhouses and trying to listen in to know what I did wrong when it came to my first try at doing NFTs. And what I did wrong is basically I put up different artworks that didn't have anything to do with each other. I saw all of the prices of Bored Apes selling for, I don't know, 50 ETH at the time. And I was like, let me price my art 10 ETH and stuff like that. So I didn't know what I was doing and I expected it was just going to be like this. I just put my art and people will buy it. Um, but when I did what happened, I met a lot of people in those clubhouse rooms. I met Jimmy Albert, I met Fiona Ryder, I met the Dream Conduit DAO, and through those people, I started understanding what I needed to do in the NFT space to like to start selling and to get an audience and stuff like that. So I went back to the drawing board. I created my first collection called The Watcher, like a coherent collection, and it's basically my character in the same pose, but with different themes around it, with in a different atmosphere each. Each one has a different meaning and all of that. I was trying to like create my own type of PFP, not really knowing that the PFP board apes were generated. I thought someone drew all 10,000 ones. So I started drawing my thinking eventually I'll draw 10,000 ones. But when I hit 21 is when I realized, no, they were generated. So basically they're all hand drawn. So that's good. I started putting it out on Twitter and talking about it and putting it out on OpenSea at the time, people started buying. My first sale happened in Clubhouse when in a room in Clubhouse, Fiona Ryder used to do these show and tell spaces with like a featured artist. And one night she chose me as the featured artist. At the time, we were going through the political crisis and the economic crisis here in Lebanon. So there wasn't any electricity. My phone was about to die. And it was 4 a.m. in the morning, me pouring my heart out in this Clubhouse room, talking about my first collection, the Watcher collection. And after I finished talking, I get an email saying I sold an NFT. I sold one of my artworks, and I was amazed because it was for 0.05 Ethereum, which was at the time $200. And like
Hmm.
a week ago, I was interviewing for a job that was gonna pay me for a whole month of work, full time, $200 by the end of that month. So I made that in just
Hmm.
selling one artwork. So I got that notification. I shared it with the group. And as soon as I shared it, another notification came that I sold another one. So I sold two in one night. And that's, yeah. And like it was magical. I woke up and then told my parents and everything. Investor Bob, he was my very first collector. I shout out to him. He believed in me and all of that. Basically, yeah, ever since then, I started putting out more of these watchers, more and more. And people started buying. And within like a few weeks, it sold out. And then I started putting out other collections and a lot of stuff sold. And basically, I've been living through these sales ever since. And stuff like this is what led me to amazing place to display my work in amazing places like Times Square, for example. That's something I never expected. It's a wild roller coaster, I would say. And all that because someone screwed me over a book illustration deal. So yeah.
Then, um, what was the biggest achievement after that point? Because I know that one is a really big one, but like, what was the biggest after that?
Do you mean after the sales that happened?
Yes, after the sales in Clubhouse, like the first sale, I do imagine, like from the story that you've told, that those sales were really impactful, and that's what got the ball rolling.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if I would ask you about the top achievement, you would probably give me that one. But that's what I'm curious to know. If we put that aside.
The complete movie moment, I would say, is when I had my work displayed in Times Square the first time. I had no chance of getting the visa because like getting the visa to the USA from Lebanon, it's like a nightmare. Like when I went to apply to the visa, they put you in a line and they reject you in front of everyone else. Like I'm seeing people being rejected in front of me as the line gets smaller and I get closer. So when my time came, I told them that my art is being displayed on Times Square for NFT NYC and all of that. And they were like, you can come back in 2 days to take it. I'm like, oh my God, I was the only one that actually got accepted from that line.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
The flight was on the very day when my artwork was going to be displayed in Times Square. So as soon as I landed, I had 2 hours to get to Times Square from JFK airport to Times Square to see my artwork. I got on the plane. It was an 11-hour flight. It was a complete nightmare. I finished the whole Lord of the Rings trilogy throughout that flight, and I still had time. But finally, we landed without any delay, and there wasn't any traffic.
Hmm.
Like, we got an hour exactly there. But basically, when I got to the hotel, I needed to pay a deposit, but they wouldn't take it in cash. They would only take it in credit card. And I didn't have a credit card at the time because of the economic collapse in my country, where basically they limit how much you can use your credit card outside of the country. You could at the time barely use $50 or so. So I talked to a friend that I knew there that came and paid with his credit card the deposit. So I had like 15 minutes now. Luckily, Times Square was 10 minutes away, walking from the hotel. And it was already nighttime. As soon as I went out onto the street, I smelled the weed everywhere. It was, yeah, I did not expect it to be that strong. I've been quoting Gandalf throughout the flight because I expected the people at the airport to not let me pass inside into their country for some whatever reason. And as soon as I'm in Times Square and I'm looking at the screen that's displaying my artwork, literally the second I step inside Times Square, my artwork just pops up right there and then. And I had like a piece of paper with me with the artwork on it. And I was like, that's my artwork. And I was surrounded by people. They started looking at me and they were like, that's your artwork? I was like, yeah, that's my artwork. And basically, yeah, people started clapping for me while the artwork was there in Times Square. It was a complete movie moment, and it's one of my pinned pictures on my Instagram. I'm very proud of, with the American flag right behind me and the artwork on Times Square. So yeah, like that's the story that I'll hopefully someday tell my children because it's unforgettable. So yeah,
It was a real movie.
yeah, it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Everything fit perfectly, like you getting the visa.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how many times that happened. It happened last month in Dubai as well. So
Okay. I didn't expect an achievement with such emotions, but it was a very emotional and insightful story. So thank you for that.
yeah,
And so
good to know.
you've been exhibited in Times Square. You've been to Art Dubai. You've been exhibiting in Italy recently as well, right?
Yeah, those pictures are in Milan.
That's huge.
Yeah, I guess displaying also in Portugal and displayed in Belgium. Currently being displayed in Dubai in the IFC as well as in London and Abu Dhabi. Had my work in Ghana as well. That's something. Like one of my goals, hopefully, if it's possible, is to have my work displayed all over in every country in the world. And I think I'm on the right track. I think I have like I don't know how many countries there are, but I think I've been displayed in like 25 to 30 countries at this point, which is a nice achievement to have. So yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah, I guess.
That actually is my next question. Like, what's your goal at this moment? What are you trying to achieve?
That's one of my goals. I don't know how long it will take and how possible it is because there are some countries that wouldn't like us to do that. But yeah, like that's a goal that I would like to do. Another goal is to be displayed in these big galleries, big museums, big exhibitions. Like one of my goals that I've been working on for the past 3 years, I would say, is being displayed in Art Dubai. And that actually happened last month. Like after 3 years of trying to figure that out, I collaborated with this past gallery, she's fantastic. Caroline, she's the curator of the gallery. It was a great collaboration with her. And yeah, we did like a booth that was amazing. We were described by Artsy magazine as the highlight of the digital section in Art Dubai. We were doing something different, something new by displaying the artwork on a huge screen that anyone can like go inside and experience for themselves rather than just have them on small screens and all of that. And I would hope to be able to expand on that and have my work displayed in bigger museums and places like the Louvre, for example. They have a few competitions where I applied to one of them, but apparently they don't take digital work for now. So I don't know in the future if that will change. But as well as having my work displayed on huge monuments, that's something else that I'm working on. Having it displayed in the MoMA, for example, that would be amazing. And yeah, in all of these established places around the world, that would be something that would be great. And I'm working towards, hopefully someday it will happen. That would be a goal of mine as well. And yeah, I guess I guess that's it for now.
And do you have somebody or some institutions in mind that you would like to connect with in order to accomplish those goals?
Like with I'm hoping with the Space Gallery we can do something for these goals. And yeah, like I'm open to work with anyone as well. Like, well, that's the beauty of digital art as well as the NFT space is there aren't as many restrictions as before. And collaboration is the key word when it comes to most of these projects and these exhibitions that happen. And yeah, there are a lot of people that I would love to work with. There are a lot of artists that I would love to collaborate with as well. Yeah, just like I'm waiting for those doors to open. I'm knocking on them, hoping that they open soon. And it will lead to amazing things, like to expand and to see how we can create these amazing things. Long term, I would say my ultimate goal is to be remembered after I die, to have my work keep on resonating with people in the future. I see my work as a time capsule of this pivotal time that we're going through. In 100 years, the digital world will probably be something that everyone is used to. but they wouldn't really understand how the transition happened. So I'm hoping my art can be like a description, like you see it and you understand instantly what it might have been like at the time when all of this was starting out, when all of this was happening. Much like when you see early footage and pictures of people 100 years ago when the camera was just invented. That's fascinating to me, for me to see now. And imagining people not having that at the time, it's a bit bizarre. So I hope like my art can resonate with people in the future that way, like hundreds of years from now, and see what it might have been like in this artistic way.
I hope this content keeps living after we're off this planet. And people can see you speaking about the journey and your goals in it.
Yeah, I hope so too.
I wish you all the best. The journey that you're on, it's really inspiring. Like this conversation was probably one of the most inspiring that I had ever. Because like, yeah, no, really. I mean, the passion you're speaking with and the proportion of how humble you speak of it and the sizes of those achievements is crazy for me.
Yeah, I
But
guess.
it's just something out of the ordinary. I want you to reach there when the time is right. And most
I hope
importantly,
so.
to like have the specific goals that you want to reach. Because when you have clarity, everything like works out in a way.
Yeah, I guess so.
And before we finish this recording, I would want to know something from you, which is the single thing you learned throughout your journey that you would like to share. The single
Well,
most important one.
so I would say like the one thing I learned is to consistently keep trying and to have fun as much as you can. Try to have fun at the very least, because I know it can be difficult when things get difficult. And as long as you try hard and you know you have something good, things will eventually work out. So yeah, it's a lesson that I know you're gonna tell me this, that I need to like remember my own lesson now. But yeah, it's worked it out so far.
Thank you, Ralph. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. This was amazing. Thanks so much.
Same, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us today. Leave comments below. We'll drop links to find Ralph on social media, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Bye bye.